This is another one of those episodes where I have no idea what number episode it's going to be. If I can get my shit together, it'll be up 3 days from now. But I haven't really been known to ever have my shit together, so that's very hopeful. But I ran a poll on my Instagram a couple of weeks ago, probably a month ago at this point, asking if you guys would be interested in hearing me talk about the concept of divine feminine, and especially like how it relates to myself and my experience, but also how it's different, or how I see that it's different between, you know, the heterosexual expectations versus the homosexual expectations, if there are even any homosexual expectations. So I just really wanted to dive into this. This is definitely going to be a little bit of just a stream of thought, casual video for me, casual episode for me. Again, like I'll really be touching on my personal experience. So I'm not, it's not gonna hurt me if you don't want to listen to this one. It's more therapeutic for me than anything. But before I hop into that, let's do some quick announcements. Thank you to everybody who came to speed dating. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for being patient with me and being patient with Sublime. And Sublime, thank you for being patient with me as well. I had so much fun. I would like to do it again, depending on my schedule and the schedule at The Well. I know that they've also picked back up with both the women loving women and men loving men, like traditional speed dating. So I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but we'll see in the future. I also just wanted to say that, man, I want some way to like shout out the events that happen very regularly. So right now, Les Cheek does events, I believe every second and fourth Friday of the month. And then Girls on Gals does them every first and third Friday of the month. And then I know Sublime's events are, I believe, the second Wednesday of every month right now. So like there's definitely stuff that's happening. And like I've said before, the calendar is linked in my bio in the link tree if you just want to see like everything. And it's a little bit more organized than like me trying to do the Instagram highlights. And then I made like a huge mistake. I made multiple mistakes when I was recording a little Instagram story this morning and trying to tell people about all the things that were happening. So like, I'm not doing that again because I don't like being wrong. But yeah, check the calendar. Again, I try to keep it like as updated as I can, and it always has the host, the time, and the location, and the price if there is a price. So if you're looking for things to do, go on the calendar. You can also go back to previous months so that you can see what things are actually happening regularly. I will be actually traveling a little bit. I will be going to LA in March. So if you're out in LA, feel free to hit me up. I am probably going to do a couple of interviews while I'm out there. And then I'm also going to Chicago in June. That hasn't been 100% finalized. I have one interview for sure. 2 other people I am looking to reach out to. But, if you're in the Chicago area, like, it's Pride Month, I'm looking for things to do, I'm looking for people to talk to, hit me up. I would love to meet you. Okay, I think that's enough rambling. It's enough updates. Let me hop into my horoscope. Oh, it's literally only been 5 minutes. I talk a lot. I feel like I talk a lot. Good evening, Taylor. It is 70 degrees Fahrenheit and mostly clear in your area. That's cold. Today at a glance. You are always changing. Are you ignoring your sadness? Today, there's a little person in your head saying that it is self-centered to be spontaneous. It's not. You just need to learn that running means running away from yourself too. Be careful. Try not to hide from discomfort. Scream into pillow. Yeah, I will be doing that tonight. Impulses, amplifier. Don't. Blame games, cold sweat, nocturnes. Okay, that cold sweat thing feels a little bit like a personal attack because Zoloft has been giving me some of the worst night sweats of my life. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I love it. I love being happy. I don't like the side effects that come with it. Okay, so that's that. I'm okay with that. All right. Let's hop into today's topic because it's a big one. It's a personal one. It really affects me. It's really important to me. So the reason why I was inspired to jump into this topic actually has to do with an experience that I had at the gym maybe like a month and a half ago. I was in the locker room and this woman came up to me and she asked me if I had heard about this YouTube channel called The Universe Guru. And I was not familiar with it. And so I was like, no, I'm not, I've never heard of that. What's it about? And she goes on and she says that that channel has like really helped her tap into her divine feminine. It's really helped her tap into her feminine energy. And when she was saying that set of words, I was very intrigued because like I'm someone who, I've gone through this very long journey of self-discovery before I really realized that I wanted to be femme, that I was most comfortable and most confident presenting feminine and really engaging in like hyper femininity as well. Like that's what I like to do and that's how I identify. So I was very intrigued. And then she follows up that statement by saying that, oh, it's really changed the way that men interact with her. And so in my head, I was like, oh, okay, well, this isn't relevant to me. But I was still interested in this, topic of divine feminine. So had that conversation and then I went to work because I go to the gym before work. So I went to work and, I like to watch YouTube videos while I work. I like to listen to podcasts and things like that. So I decided to look up this channel and, hear what this woman had to say. Because I think that the topic of divine feminine definitely has come up like recent. It's like within the last year, it kind of had like a weird like resurgence, and I noticed both on like Instagram and YouTube. I imagine it probably was the same on TikTok, but I wasn't on TikTok at that point. I'm not even on TikTok at this point. I'm like a fake Gen Z, but obviously it was mainstream, in the recent past. So I was like, you know what? Let me dig into this a little bit. Maybe there's something that this channel can offer to me that would help me like step more into my divine feminine and help me feel even more comfortable. Because, I love hearing about other people's experiences and how they kind of find the different facets of their identity. Unfortunately, I was very wrong. This channel really had nothing to offer me. It's not, and like I said, I don't like being wrong, but you know what? I'll be humble. I was wrong here. I really wanted to give it a chance. And I really wanted to kind of hear out what this channel might have to say. And there are definitely, there are aspects of what she's saying that I can agree with. Like, I think, the fundamental ideas, again, like of stepping into that feminine energy and finding power in that feminine energy, I can relate to, but okay. Well, I just had to play it because it's really hard to describe. So I've watched a couple of her videos at this point. I'm going to play one now. So I'm just going to react to one, maybe two of her videos. I don't know, because I'm bothered. I'm bothered by some of the things that she says, and I don't necessarily want to just keep giving her views. So I'm going to watch one, maybe two of her videos and just react to them. And I think that her content kind of embodies what a lot of us are taught about feminine energy and women, feminine people, and how we are supposed to act in a heterosexual and a heteronormative society. Like I see this content as a reflection of that. So the video that I'm going to watch right now is called 3 Tips for Entering Your Feminine Era, which again, I thought maybe there were some tips that were going to be in there for me that would make me feel more comfortable, but it just pissed me off, if I'm being honest. All right, let's go.
We're talking about My stages.
And this was posted a month ago.
2 stages, Self-Aware Barbie and $1 Million Babe. I want to give you guys 3 tips today on the structures and systems you can start creating so that you can be more in your $1 Million Babe and less in your Self-Aware Barbie. I have 4 stages that...
So right off the bat, and maybe this is being very picky, but this is like it's a rhetoric question for me. So her saying like, you know, $1 Million Babe, Self-Aware Barbie, she sells, I think she has a couple of books and she sells courses that are, I don't know, they're like self-improvement, self-help, self-development type courses, which again, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong. You know, I support everybody in trying to become like a better version of their self, but what she's doing is kind of like using these little keywords, like these advertising words that relate back to her program. And then what she's going to do is try to sell you the program, which again, it's not, okay, I'm just going to let it play. I'm going to let it play. And then I will get into that whole tangent once it's done playing.
When we're in the Self-Aware Barbie stage, we have a couple different things going on in our system. One, we tend to be more in our fight or flight. And secondly, we're using more masculine energy than feminine energy. And obviously there's nothing wrong with using your masculine energy. I love my masculine energy. However, as women, when we are in a female body, our hormones can get kind of messed up if we're overly reliant on our masculine energy. The truth is we just don't have the capacity to be in our masculine as much as the male body. And so we want to be aware of how much of that energy we're using. And also our relationships suffer when we're too much in our masculine energy, and it's just not fun. Things are not fun when we're doing them overly from the masculine.
I will say, the first video that I watched from her did not get this bad this quickly. We are 1 minute and 20 seconds in, and I'm already pissed off. But she says that, there's nothing wrong with being in your masculine energy, but, you know, that for women, it can throw your hormones off if you are in your masculine energy. And I'm not going to lie, as much as I do present very feminine, and I like to kind of have that aura around me, my personality is pretty dominant, and pretty masculine. I'm very self-sufficient. I like that about myself. I'm very sure of myself. I love my career. I'm very passionate about things. And to be quite honest, I don't need somebody else around to like justify any of those things that I'm doing. I like to hold the door open for girls. I like to pay the bill, even though I don't have any money, but whatever. So yeah, anyways. Where I really take an issue is when she says that being in your masculine energy as a woman is going to mess up your hormones, because what I'm finding with a lot of these heteronormative views of the divine feminine is that people just very, very quickly somehow fall into like bioessentialism and this idea that women are biologically meant to be feminine and that men are biologically meant to be masculine, and that when you start deviating from that, you start you mess up your health. Because I like to pay for women on dates, I must just have a raging amount of testosterone. If any trans men, trans masc people want to just like siphon me for testosterone, like have at it, because clearly I just have this like crazy extra amount. But no, it's just scientifically untrue, and it's literally just wrong. It's at a fundamental factual level, it is incorrect to make that kind of assertion. And you know what? I said I was going to wait until the end of the video, but I can't even. When you are making false scientific claims, when you are stating fake news, when you are talking about things that are factually untrue, and you're saying that to a vulnerable audience, which if you look at the comments, it's a lot of women who are either unsatisfied in their current heterosexual relationships, or they are not in a relationship but are kind of desperate to be in one. And so they're trying to watch her videos to understand how they will attract a high value man. It's a little bit, I don't want to say that she's like Andrew Tate, but because she's definitely like not to that extreme at all, but it's the same idea where you are marketing to a vulnerable populace, a populace that really truly probably just needs like a little bit of therapy and like better friends. And you're trying to sell them this course that isn't going to fix the fundamental issue. And again, you're selling that course based on this completely false assertion that men and women are just so absolutely different, that men should not be feminine and that women should not be masculine. And that's where I have like a major issue with this type of content. If she was just kind of like asserting from a self-help standpoint, like, again, like, here's how you as a woman, like, be more feminine, here's how you tap into your feminine energy, that would be one thing. Because again, that's what I'm going to do at the end of this video. I'm going to share my experience and the way that I have tapped into my feminine energy. But again, doing it to sell a course, boo, it couldn't be me. It could have, unless if you guys buy a course from me, please let me know, because like I'm always trying to make a bag. I'm always trying to make some money. But yeah, I could end this episode there. I think I said what I needed to say. But no, we're gonna keep going. I'm only gonna watch one video. I can't do two of these, obviously.
So the number one tip I have for you guys is to close windows. Now, I don't mean like actually close your physical windows. I
was gonna close my bathroom
energetic windows. Because we're in a female body, our brain functions differently than the male brain. And
also not true. There is no substantial difference between the brains of people who are assigned female at birth versus people who are assigned male at birth.
And when we have a lot of open windows, as my husband likes to call it, our mind can get really bogged down. We can kind of feel all over the place. We can feel overwhelmed. We can feel lethargic and not know why. I did a whole video on just closing videos recently, or closing windows, not videos, recently. I'll post it in the description box, okay? I think it was titled something like How to Be More in Your Feminine and Why It's So Hard. This could be one of those reasons. When you are in the self-aware Barbie, you find yourself in situations where you're responsible for other people, you're taking on other people's jobs for them, and so that can be a lot of open windows. And I'll post that video for you guys below. You'll find it very useful. Second, and this is a huge one, remember how I always talk about that masculine energy is structure and feminine energy is flow? Well, in order to be in your flow, you need structure. Feminine energy cannot exist without masculine energy, okay? So this is very important, because a lot of people think that they're just going to ignore everything and just be in their flow. You can't be in your flow if you have like too much chaos around you, because you'll be forced to be put in your masculine energy to feel safe, right? So one of the things that's been...
What did any of that mean? So she says initially that if you are in your masculine energy as a woman, it's going to throw off your hormones. But you also need to be in your masculine energy because it's more organized, and your feminine energy can't exist unless you have your masculine energy to structure it, but also your masculine energy will throw off your hormones. And I'm gonna be honest, she doesn't even sound convinced about what she's saying. And I think, again, maybe that's just me being like very judgmental and like very picky, but again, like when I look at it from like a rhetoric standpoint, if you don't sound very confident and you don't sound very sure of what you're saying, like right now I'm listening to her and it just sounds like words being put together in a sentence, and that's just like kind of it. Like, you can't just say things and like, again, put words one after the other in a sentence and think that it automatically makes sense. Is that a wild thing to say? I don't think that's a wild thing to say. again, like I can't even like respond to that because that was just like a bunch of word soup. Ugh.
One of the things that's been a really insightful knowing is that flow actually requires discipline. It requires structures and systems. And once you have those set, then you can be in your feminine energy, you can relax. Now, sometimes we have a partner that's providing that for us, right? Or when we're children, we've got our parents providing that for us. But if you're a single woman, you're going to have to learn to provide that for yourself, okay? So how you can do that is systemize, automize, and delegate, okay? So for example,
just with buzzwords.
If you have a lot of debt and every month when you sit down to pay those payments, you get stressed out, you get overwhelmed, delegate that, automate that. One way might be to set up automatic payments. Another way that I learned when I was in real estate and mortgage loan broker was that you can hire a company to consolidate all of your debt, and then they make one monthly payment on your behalf, right? Like, so
this in and of itself, like, again, like the idea of like being organized with your finances, like, is basically what she's saying here. Again, nothing wrong with that as, an actual tip. Again, where I have the issue is where she asserts that this is a task that is structured, because you put structure into that task, it is now like a masculine task. Or I get what she's saying earlier, where it's like, oh, if you don't have your parents or you don't have a partner in your life to do these things for you, if you're just single, then you do it for yourself. But then the flip side of that is, if I'm with somebody, even like right now, like, yeah, my parents are still like, involved in my life, and they know a little bit about my finances, but like, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be the one taking care of my debt, and I shouldn't be the one taking care of my money. Because frankly, if I'm not actually legally bound to somebody through marriage, I have no interest in sharing finances. I have no interest in pooling finances whatsoever. Maybe we could start an LLC. That I'm not opposed to, but like, no. Like, I don't need somebody. And even if I was sharing finances with somebody, I don't need them to be in charge of that. I don't need them to be the masculine energy that takes care of that. If anything, both of us should be involved in that, because I can't imagine living in a household where only one person is taking care of debt or is taking care of, finances overall. And that's where I say, like, it goes back to the way that people view male and female roles in a heteronormative relationship. This idea that like money and finances typically is controlled by one person. Usually, I don't know, the visual structure of it is always that it's like controlled by the man, because the man is the breadwinner. But then the flip side of that is like the reality ends up being that in households where you have like one breadwinner, a lot of times whoever is staying home, typically a stay-at-home mom, is the one who's making a lot of the household the household purchasing decisions, because she's the one who's going out buying groceries. She's the one who's going out like restocking like laundry detergent and utilities and all that and whatever. So like, it's a very interesting dichotomy, because like the reality doesn't always line up with these ideas that are pushed on us about like the way that men and women are supposed to act. Also, while I'm at it, debt consolidation is not always the best option. Please speak to a financial advisor. Do not listen to like random YouTubers about this kind of stuff.
If there's absolutely no way to delegate it, then instead of worrying about it the whole month, set a reminder in your phone saying, on the first of every month, I'm going to sit down for 1 hour and figure this out and do it, and that's when I'm allowed to worry about it. So you're like, scheduling in your worry so that you are not worried the entire month about something, okay?
And also, not to be another random YouTuber / internet personality that's giving financial advice, but I do automate like some of my finances, and it has like substantially reduced my anxiety. But I'm not anxious because I'm too in my feminine energy. I'm anxious because I'm mentally ill. So take that for what it is.
The third one I'm going to say is that become aware of your inscape. Sometimes there's things that we do where we're constricting our energy or holding ourselves tightly and we're not even aware of it, and that can also put us in fight or flight. So for example, I have a really weird example. A few years ago, I noticed that after I was done doing my makeup, I felt really like tight in my jaw. And doing your makeup is a very feminine thing, right? Like, it's self-care, it's relaxing, it's supposed to be fun. So I was like, why do I have like tightness in my jaw after I do my makeup? So I decided to break up the process. And so as I was like, working out, I started becoming aware of my inscape, and I was working out, okay, not tight, not constricted. Taking my shower, not tight, constricted. And then I noticed that the minute that I started applying my foundation, it was something about me applying my foundation that made me clench my jaw. It was the most bizarre thing because I have no idea why I was doing this.
Perfectly fine, perfectly understandable. Sounds more like a personal experience that you have and that you need to work through, as opposed to this like overwhelming experience that all feminine people, or that all people who are like steeped into the divine feminine, I don't think that that's an experience that everybody has. Because I do my makeup. I don't think I'm tense when I do my makeup. Am I? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't use foundation. Maybe that's it. Maybe she's right.
And so it took me a few months, believe it or not, it was like really tightly ingrained, to, as I was like putting on my foundation, I would become really aware, and I would make sure that I was like relaxing my jaw and my face. It was so deeply ingrained that it literally took me a few months to get over that. I don't know why I was doing it, but now when I apply my makeup, I'm relaxed. So there are certain things we might be aware why we're doing it or why not, where we have created these habits. Maybe when you sit down to pay your bills or organize your pantry, there's like this constriction energy that comes over you, but you're not aware. And after you're done doing that thing, you might have a headache, you might feel overwhelmed, but you don't know why. It might just be how you're posturing your body and how you're constricting yourself. So there is a lot of usefulness in becoming aware of how we do things, and these little like micro alignments that are happening in our body, or micro constrictions. The foundation one was a really unique and weird one for me, but I've noticed many others where I put myself in like this tightness or constricted energy while I'm doing certain things, and then the next layer of that is to learn to relax when you're doing that same thing. Okay, so if you need more help with this, my self-aware activated Barbie bundle is like self-aware Barbie activated bundle is the best place to start this level of inner work. The reason is because,
and there it is. Again, I will never fault somebody for sharing their own personal experience of how they stepped into their feminine energy. I will never fault somebody for however they were able to grow as a person. What I will fault her for is asserting that these are biological truths about men and women and about masculinity and femininity. Even again, just, acting as if femininity is this like clear-cut thing that can be, defined based off of these requirements that she has. And then number 3, selling a course, selling multiple courses and multiple books based off of things that just aren't true. So I don't think there's much after this. I think it's just her. This is a 12-minute video, and I'm like almost 9 minutes in is where she starts talking about this course.
As when we're in our self-aware Barbie in an unintentional way, we tend to get really burned out. We're overusing our masculine energy. We can experience adrenal fatigue and a host of other social and physical and energetic issues.
Girl, it's not masculine energy. You're just stressed. Like, it's just stress. It's not masculine or feminine. You just need better stress management.
But if you're using that in a activated way and setting containers and structures for yourself, that same masculine energy is now providing you with something so you can relax into it. I'm currently offering for the next couple of days $555 off of my Self-Aware Barbie Activated Bundle course. It comes with 12 courses, and then...
You know what? I can't even falter. Get your bag, love. Make that money. Get rich. She is rich. There's actually another video where she spends like the first portion of the video, maybe like 25% of it, just talking about, all of this, feminine energy or whatever. And then the remainder of that video is just her showing off. It's like a luxury haul, like shopping haul that she did. And again, what bothered me about that is what she's trying to do is say, hey, I did all of these things. I followed my own advice. I tapped into my feminine energy. I let my husband have his masculine energy, and that made me rich. Like, it's advertising, which again, sure, she's got a business. She's got this thing that she's doing that clearly it's been successful. Like, she makes a decent amount of money. She has to make a decent amount of money from this. I think she has a decent amount of subscribers. If one of your subscribers is just coming up to me in the Planet Fitness locker room to talk about it. And I want to say too, like, I'm not making fun of this girl who came up to me at all. If anything, I'm actually very upset that somebody who is obviously so beautiful and obviously so like qualified and competent has been taught that all she needs to do is just diminish herself and be more feminine and be more small and just, just be with the flow. I'm upset that like somebody has been taught that that's what they have to do in order to attract a man. And on top of that, I'm upset that the most important thing, or at least again, based on this conversation, it's like the most important thing to her was finding a man and finding a husband, as if that's the only thing that women are capable of accomplishing in their lives. Right. I'm just gonna stop this because I think at this point I made my point, and I think I'm just getting like petty and bitter, and that does not seem like a very useful way to continue this video. So all that is what really encouraged me to want to have this conversation and share my own personal experience. Again, like I think a lot of the content that's surrounding the divine feminine, it is from a very like heteronormative lens, which obviously I don't fit into. However, I think a lot of, or what I've heard from a lot of other femme lesbians is this idea that like homosexual femininity, like the homosexual divine feminine, if we want to call it that. Also, take a shot every time I say divine feminine. You'll die by the end of this episode. But like the homosexual divine feminine, like the high femme lesbian, is this very, very hyper feminine version of femininity. Am I making sense right now? I feel like I'm just using a lot of words. I'm just putting words together in sentences and not actually making sense. I'm calling myself out. But again, there's a lot of posts all the time about how like, oh, when you look straight, it's really hard to be perceived as gay, whether you're, especially when you're out on the street. But I think there are also like times where I felt very self-conscious about that in queer spaces, where I don't want people to assume that I am a straight person coming into this space. I am a very, very, very gay person. I just happen to look like I walked out of the Barbie movie. I'm doing my best. But yeah, and when it comes to myself, I definitely was a tomboy growing up, and I think I still have this very like outdoorsy, kind of like scrappy vibe to me, which I really enjoy, and it makes me happy. But I do kind of question like, oh, like my hatred of pink as a kid, and I definitely like rejected femininity to a certain extent. And this is all like before like the age of 10. It took me a while before I was able to confidently step into this idea of being feminine. I think I did a little bit like when I was in middle and high school, but I think I was just so uncomfortable with my body overall, and I was uncomfortable with like showing any skin that I don't know, I couldn't take it. I think I mentioned on an earlier episode that sometimes I would wear a skirt to school in high school, but I would bring like a pair of pants or a pair of shorts to change into, after like one period, because I was just so uncomfortable with the idea of even being, exposed. I don't know why. It probably has to do something with, I don't know, like the messages I was getting from family, the messages from society. Like I haven't reached that point in therapy yet. We haven't uncovered that part of my lore. So it really wasn't until it must have been like junior. No. It was summer of 2018, because summer of 2018 is when I went through my first hoe phase, because I convinced myself that I was not worthy of love. I think that was the first time I convinced myself that, no, that was the second time that I convinced myself that I wasn't worthy of love. So I was going on a lot of dates. I was, hooking up with a bunch of different people. It wasn't that many, but whatever. And I think at that point, like I also like just gotten on dating apps, and I knew that I had a preference for masculine women, but it wasn't what it is now, where like that's exclusively the type that I date. But I think I just kind of like fell into the expectation that people had of me to be the provider and to be the more masculine person in the relationship. Like I literally had some girl message me on her, and the first thing she said was, "Oh, I really like studs." And I just said back to her, "I'm not a stud." And then I was so upset by that statement that I literally put it into my profile, my bio, and I said, "I am not a stud," because it was like a visceral reaction. And again, that's not to say that like studs aren't attractive, that there's anything bad about being a stud. Obviously, but for me, it felt so wrong to be perceived that way. I'm okay with being perceived as, again, dominant in my personality, but I don't necessarily want to be perceived as masculine. And I remember I went on a date with somebody else too. Milo, I love you. I think it's great what you're doing. I love the farm and everything, and your wife is wonderful, and all that, and the dogs and the naked cats. They're sphinxes, not whatever. So I love everything that you are doing. I will say I was mildly traumatized when you called me a soft butch in response to me saying that I was femme. But we can work through that. Yeah, we can work through that. So that, yeah, I went on a date with somebody. We're fine. And I described myself as femme, and they said, more like soft butch. I was like, okay. And even when I started dating got into my first queer relationship, I was about to go, my partner and I were about to go to a museum, and I was like taking a while to get ready. I wasn't really finding something that I was comfortable with. And so I put on an outfit, and we're about to leave, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was just so uncomfortable. And I was just like, I can't do this. Like, this is not me. I think I said, like, this is not femme. And maybe, maybe I'm being dramatic. Like, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I am like way too invested in this topic, but it's just, I deserve to feel comfortable. Like, I don't think that's a wild thing to say. And it's like people say that like, oh, it goes like deeper than just your outward presentation. And it's like, yeah, it does, but it starts at that outward presentation, and it starts like at the way that I perceive myself. And then it goes to like how other people may perceive me. Even right now, like sitting in this outfit, I was actually really hoping to record this video when I still have my braids in, because I know that I look way more feminine when I have the braids in, especially like with the color that I got and everything. Like it was perfection. I loved it. This shirt looks very, masculine on me, because you can see my muscles. I go to the gym, I work out, I love weightlifting. But right now, I am really struggling with this idea that if I want to continue to, lift weights and, get big in my upper body, it's going to make me look less feminine, or at least it's because of my proportions, I already have like pretty broad shoulders. So when I go and spam lateral raises and I make my shoulders bigger and I make my back bigger and stronger, yeah, it's great because my back pain is substantially reduced, but it's like it makes my hips look smaller. It makes me feel like I am less feminine. So like I'm kind of just grappling with that right now. Like I'm very much self-conscious of it. But where was I going with this? Nobody else can define for me whether I am femme or not. In that instance with my ex, when I got very upset and I looked in the mirror and I was like, this isn't femme enough. They responded to me and just said like, oh, well, you're not femme. And then when I put on a new outfit, they were like, what did they say? They're like, how is this femme? Like, or this isn't femme. Like, just immediately pushed back on it. And I mean, there were multiple times where like they pushed back on like different parts of my identity, and it was a whole mess. But I mean, like I was saying before, like nobody else can define that for me. So that conversation I think happened, that was like December of 2018 or January of 2019, somewhere in there. And then the following summer is when I moved to Miami. I think making that big of a move and kind of like resetting my entire life actually genuinely helped me step into that feminine energy. Being somewhere that's warm, being somewhere that like is very artistic, where a lot of people are kind of encouraged to express these like, different, potentially like wild ideas or like wild versions of themselves. That genuinely helped me feel like I had more space just to be myself. And it went even beyond like this whole idea of like divine feminine, because when I was an undergrad, when I got my first apartment junior year, I decided that like, minimalist. I was like, I don't want anything on my surfaces. Like I want only earth tones, like black, white, brown, gray, green. And like, that was it. I was so muted. And my wardrobe was also a reflection of that. Now, girl, I got pink bed sheets. I got a green couch. I have a yellow nightstand with like just a bunch of shit on it. Like my desk is like, honestly, that's actually just kind of a mess. That's actually just kind of gross. But like, I definitely am much more of a maximalist now than I was before. And I just have so much more color in my life and so much more saturation in my life. Look, I'm wearing orange pants with an orange belt. Also, I thrifted this from out of the closet, and these were on sale at Target. So, yeah. But like, I think me stepping into my divine feminine energy meant giving myself a space where I could do that, and giving myself a life where I didn't feel so restricted. Even like when I go to work, am I pushing the limit with our dress code? Absolutely. But it's what makes me feel more comfortable. It's what makes me feel more confident. And to be quite honest, I produce better work when I feel better about myself. So if you are, honestly, it doesn't even matter if you're like, feminine and masculine, neither, somewhere in between, both, whatever. It's important to set up spaces and systems, as Homegirl said, that work for you. This is a space that works for me. I love my apartment. I love how cozy it feels. It feels very much like home. And that's what makes it work for me. I think she also said something about when she was talking about like the tension in her jaw. That's an area where I have to give her credit, because I'm a very like body person, if that makes sense. In conversations with my current therapist, we've concluded that I hold a lot of my trauma in my body, that like my experience with my mental health is very psychosomatic. So what he actually recommended was somatic therapy, which I haven't met with an actual somatic therapist. I do, all of my therapy appointments are remote. I've never met my therapist in person. So we can kind of only go so far with a lot of the somatic strategies. But one of the ones that I found made a huge difference was that every morning at the office, like after I would sit down for like maybe like 2.5 hours to do my work, and just kind of like power through. And then I would actually get up and I would go outside, and I would stand in the little balcony outside my office. And I would stand with like my hand like right on kind of like just below my sternum. And I would just close my eyes and I would just breathe in and out. And I would like switch up the hands sometime. Like sometimes I would have one hand like resting on the railing, the other hand, maybe a hand like behind the back. But the idea is that you're helping your whole body self-regulate. And if I can, I will link like a couple of somatic therapy resources. And eventually Zoloft was the option that worked for me. But I think I think again, like for me, like when I get anxious or when I get depressed, man, especially when I get depressed, like I can't. People always say like, oh, like work out, like, and do yoga, like it helps with depression. The physical weight I feel on my shoulders when I try to go for a run when I'm in a depressive state, it was so overwhelming. Like I literally, if I was like depressed, if I was going through a depressive episode, I stopped working out entirely because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to perform at my like usual strength, my usual performance. And it would just make me feel even worse about myself because I would be like, I know for a fact that I am physically capable of doing this. Why is my body just like not agreeing with me here? So yeah, like learning different grounding methods, learning different ways to kind of like, like I think in yoga it's like, like tapping into like all four corners of your body has been immensely helpful. There's also this other one to help release anger, because I was dealing with just a lot of like bitterness and just complete rage when I first finished grad school. It's like, okay, I'm gonna example it. I actually have to do this a lot while driving because I definitely road rage. But like you make like a little like shape with your mouth and you go like you're a bee and you're buzzing. See, it released the anger. It made me giggly, made me excited. That was like a really useful one as well. I would do it as well like when I was about to like on my way to work. That's when like the road rage would be the worst. So like within that last mile or so, it just helped like recenter me. So yeah, I was chatting with Xander, Dr. Xander. I will give you your flowers. Xander Boger from, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry if it's wrong. She was on The Ultimatum as well. And we were actually chatting about this topic because I think what I've kind of asked my therapist about it a lot in the past like year and a half is like, why was this not recommended to me sooner? Because every single time that I have explained my issues when it comes to my mental health, I have said like how physical it is and how like physically overwhelming it is. Like the tightness in my chest that I feel when I get anxious, like it's like everything from like chin to like hip is just tense, and like I couldn't stop it. Like I couldn't prevent it. And so I looking back, I'm like, why didn't somebody mention this? Because that would have been like great for me when I was still doing therapy in person, and it probably would have made a huge difference. But he mentioned that it's not that it isn't necessarily taken seriously, but there just isn't a whole lot of traction with it. And so I was chatting with Xander about that topic too, and I was just asking her like, hey, what is this like? Is this something that you do? Like, are you certified or whatever? Because she does. I think she's a physical therapist. And if you like watch like a lot of her content on Instagram, like she does like different, like again, like movement and body work. And she's definitely like a resource that I have added to like my list for like fitness people that I like to reference. And, I love supporting queer people as well. But again, it's because like this idea of getting in touch with your body, like it makes a huge difference in feeling like you can get in touch with your identity. And like Y'all see the things that I wear. I have no issue showing skin these days. I probably should work on that a little bit, but it's still like, it's like I'm not just doing it to like be raunchy per se. I do it because I'm like, oh no, this is actually just a cool outfit, and I really like this, and I'm really having fun. And I don't always show skin like all the time. Like even today, I'm like completely very modest. I'm very modest today. But again, it's not about like, you know, my ability to like show skin or not show skin. It's my ability to put something on and feel comfortable like in any situation. Like if I can pick something out of my closet where I'm like, this is a really cute outfit, I'm putting this on, I like how it looks, I like how it looks on me, that's kind of like what I am aiming for. It also definitely influences my relationships with other people, especially in like giving people access to my body. Do I really want to go into this? Yes, I do. I do want to go into this. I can't do hookups. It's not good for me. It's not healthy for me. And I think it really has to do, again, like with this idea of trying to find ways to feel like safe and protected in my body, or even I guess just like keep my body like safe and protected. I don't always really want to give other people access to me, especially if I don't know them very well, if I don't trust them very well. Obviously there's like a, you know, like a mental validation that comes with knowing that somebody wants you or knowing that somebody finds you attractive. But I think like for me, I've left so many experiences with other people where I just feel completely out of myself and I feel completely like detached from myself. I'm probably dissociating in those moments. And so I really just have kind of just said no. Like that's not it's not gonna work for me. And it is what it is. But I think that's also like helped me feel like I have a lot more control and a lot more agency by being able to say like, no, like you don't have access to me. Oh, but like this other person in this situation who I know respects me and who I know will like, you know, will take care of me and who I know, you know, genuinely cares about me, I will let them have access to me. If that makes any sense. Okay. I feel like I'm rambling again. Again, that's like the self-consciousness for me. So, okay, what else did I do to tap into my divine feminine? Moving, taking care of my body, taking care of my mind. I think also surrounding myself with people who allow me to tap into that energy. Lately, I've really enjoyed just like being a girl's girl. Even like when I'm with my male friends who are very like staunchly in their masculinity and, you know, don't really even want to touch their femininity at all. I find that I am less likely now to modify my behavior in order to match their energy. Like I am much more likely to just, you know, continue being myself and being like, again, like what makes me feel comfortable. And like it works out. Like I don't know, like I hate this idea that like, oh, like men and women can't be friends. Like it never works out. Yes, it does. You all are just weird. Like you all just need help. You can be friends with somebody of the opposite gender. And then on top of that, if you think that a man and a woman cannot be friends because someone's always going to be into the other, baby girl, how does that work in same-sex relationships? Tell me. Am I not allowed to have other female friends because I'm attracted to women? Am I not allowed to have other masks and other studs as friends, which I do, because I'm just going to be attracted to them and I'm going to cheat on my future partner? Make it make sense. But that's a tangent. Again, having people around who aren't going to stifle that energy from you has been very nice. And I do, you know, I appreciate my male friends for playing along. have to, because sometimes there's also like usually like an age gap between me and a lot of my friends. I have a lot of like friends who are in their 30s, so like that also kind of like plays into, you know, the way that the relationship is structured. But even like my friends who are younger than me, especially I have one friend in particular. She's also just like a girl's girl, and it's like when we've been going, we're we're now regulars at Bonefish Grill. They have this thing called Martini Mondays where the martinis are only $7. So like we've been going and just like ordering martinis and eating bread and getting appetizers, and like something about that experience that just feels like so feminine, but it also just feels like incredibly fulfilling. I think I just described having friends, but whatever. Whatever. Again, being around people who aren't gonna like suck that energy out of you or like make you feel guilty for doing what feels comfortable, I think that's incredibly important. And then I think like the last thing that I did was definitely like having a mood board. If any of you happen to follow me on Pinterest, if you go on my fashion board, you can probably see like the evolution that I had. I deleted a lot of stuff from there, but initially my fashion board was a lot of like dapper fashion, a lot of button downs and, you know, Oxfords, and a little bit preppy, definitely very like prim and proper. And now it's like, I don't even want to say that it's like not like that same level of like classiness, but it's so much more colorful. It's so much more creative. Like I love, you know, different patterns. I love like all the different colors. I love texture. I love layering. And then there's some stuff in there that is very like minimalist and like very clean cut. But honestly, I don't tend to lean towards those looks anymore. Maybe in like the silhouettes for sure. But again, I want to be like this very like bright, expressive person, because honestly, for most of my life, I wasn't that. And it wasn't because, I don't know, it wasn't because that's what I wanted to do. It's because that's what felt the safest. And I'm tired of being safe. I don't need to be safe. And realistically, I can look like this and I can present like this and I can still keep myself very safe. So I think I'm going to end on that note. Mic drop. No, I'm not going to drop the actual mic because it's going to sound awful. Hopefully this was like a little bit useful, like a little bit interesting. I don't know. Hopefully you guys know me a little bit better. I'll go back to being closed off and mysterious now. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing and interacting and engaging and throwing different opportunities my way. I'm very, very, very grateful. I will obviously be throwing, you know, some reels from this onto Instagram. Feel free to discuss with me in the comments. Feel free to share your experiences as well. Like I said, I'm always super interested in hearing like the way that different people kind of reach different conclusions about their identities. If you are curious about this universe guru person, like I said, she does have some useful tips on her channel. Like if you are somebody who is trying to step into your divine feminine energy, or even if you're just somebody who is looking to experience a little bit of self-growth, I'm not going to stop you guys from going and watching her videos, but like for me personally, like it just doesn't really align with my goals. So, you know, it is what it is. No hate to her, you know, whatsoever. It's just clearly I have an issue with the way that she's going about things. If you are interested in coming on an episode for an interview, or if you want me to touch on a specific topic for an episode, or if you know somebody who would want to touch on a specific topic, feel free to shoot me an email, bottumsuppod@gmail.com. That is bottumsuppod@gmail. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I am on TikTok. I have a TikTok account. You can follow me. I am at bottumsup.pod on both platforms. That is bottumsup.pod. I think that's all I got for tonight. Yeah, take care of yourselves and don't listen to random people on the internet, me included. All right. Bye. See you guys in the next episode.